Now it's time to look at the onion skin feature on Toon Storyboard Pro. And the onion skin allows you to see forward and backward through panels that are previous and panels that are forward. But the easiest way to explain this is just to take a look at how the tool functions. You'll find the onion skinning up here on your toolbar, unless you've moved your toolbar someplace else. And this is the onion skin toolbar. And if you're unable to see your onion skin toolbar, go under Windows and then to Toolbars and make sure that onion skin is checked off. I'm going to uncheck it right now so it disappears. So there, if you can't find it, just go under here to Toolbars, onion skin, and you will see it reappear. So this main button at the very beginning of the toolbar is the on and off switch, basically, and all of these other functions are ghosted out until you actually enable it. So I'm going to enable it by tapping on it, and now you can see that these other icons have come alive. What they are is each one of these icons has a little arrow that expands downward, and this first one lets you choose how many previous panels you would like to be able to see. So we'll start with just one previous panel, and then this one will let you choose how many next panels that you're able to see. But let's just look with the previous one first. Take a look down here at the thumbnails that I have, and what I've done to demonstrate this is draw 5 different panels with one number after the other so you can see how this works. So I'm going to turn it off for now, and I have 1 and then 2, next panel 3, next panel 4, next panel 5. So when I turn this on, and I've chosen to see one previous panel. Now on this first panel, I don't see any previous panel. And the reason why is because the onion skin feature doesn't break through different scenes. This is a previous scene. You can see it's scene 4A. And this is scene 5. So even though it can see one panel behind to allow you to trace, it doesn't go across the scene barrier. So now I'm going to jump over to panel number 2, and here now I can see the previous panel if I wanted to trace over it. By the same token, if I go to 3, I could see 2, but I can no longer see 1 because I've just chosen to see one previous panel. And you can see that indicated here because there's a little icon that shows one panel underneath the base. So I'll go over to 4 and I can only see one back. I'll go to 5 and I can only see one back. But let's take a look and see what happens when I expand the onion skin to the previous 2 panels. Starting with panel 1, I don't see anything behind. Panel 2, I see one panel behind because there are no more to the left. But by the time I get to panel 3, now I can see 2 panels to the rear of my position. And once again, look at this icon. You can see that there are 2 panels showing through to indicate that you're going to be able to see 2 backwards. And if I go to 4, I can see 2 panels backwards, but I can no longer see number 1. And if I go to 5, I can see 2 panels backwards. The fade effect on these previous panels lets you also tell at a glance how far back you're going and how far back in your panels you're tracing off of, because obviously when it comes to production work, you're not going to be just drawing numbers, you're going to be drawing panels, and it can be really helpful to just be able to tell by the fade color which one is the furthest back panel. Now I'm going to turn this back down to just seeing one previous panel, and I'm going to move it to panel 2 so that I can show you what it looks like when we look forward in our panels as well as back. You'll notice that the color that's indicated for panels that are previous to the current one are in red, like a stop sign, and like a green go signal, the panels that appear in front of the panel that we're working on are green. So you can always tell at a glance also if you're tracing off a panel that's ahead of you in the sequence or behind you in the sequence. You can turn off seeing how many previous panels there are if you'd like, and you can turn off how many next panels there are. They're completely independent. So let's look at one next panel and one previous panel, And as I start with panel number 1, we can't see any previous one, but we can see the next. With panel 2, we can see 1 previous and 3 next, etc., etc. And then when we get to 5, we can't see anything in the future because that's the last panel in the sequence. One other major feature, though, is this last button on the onion skin, which allows you to customize which panels you're going to be viewing. So it's very common to want to refer to the first panel in your sequence, even if when you're on the 4th panel or the 20th panel. So with this timeline that popped out of this icon here, I could choose how many panels I want to go back and how many panels to go forward. If you're here on the 4th panel, but you want to reference the first one, which is 3 panels back, you can just simply go 1, 2, 3 panels back, and tap that, and now you can reference the very first panel in the scene, or you could untap it and you could do the second panel in the scene, and you can work backwards as far as you want. You can also work forwards by pressing one of those buttons. We could see this at work in a more natural drawing situation. I have here a drawing of a guy sitting on his couch, and I have a drawing of the couch and the door on the background. So if I go to the next panel and I have my onion skin turned on to go back to 3 panels worth, I can draw the next panel while still making sure that I can get my height right in the character, that I know where the background is. I can continue on to see, the entire flow of the character and let him reach the door. All this without having to draw a new background in the panel. I've added one more drawing in this 4th spot, but as I go to the 5th panel in the series, I can no longer see the background because I can't see 4 panels back to the original background. So this would be an example of where you could use this tool. I'll press on it, and now I will go back 4 panels, and now I can see the original drawing, so that when I draw in this 5th panel, I'll still be able to reference where that door is. For example, if he's exiting, and I want to make sure that that exit pose works, I could redraw this background in. I could not do it, either way. But this way, at least, I've been able to see all the way back to 4 panels previous, and I could continue doing that all the way up to 15 panels. You can use this onion skinning feature to help you plot out your posing, help you plot out your arcs, help you keep your sizes consistent, all sorts of things. It's a very, very, very handy tool to use. I really wouldn't want to live without that one.